When you think courage, hard work, perseverance, dedication, there is no one who comes to my mind better than Rubi Arya herself, who actually embodies all of these qualities. She did not let any personal tragedy, as big as even her husband's passing away, hold her back. She managed to hold and run the show at Capital, a $1 billion AQF, right at the peak of the bull market. So who better than her to celebrate Women's Day and find out what inspires her? Rubi, such a pleasure having you on the show today. And like I said in my introduction, there are very few people who inspire you. Today, the theme at ET Now is celebrating women. She inspires us. And you clearly are one amongst the lot. Just walk us through our journey, Rubi. We all know that the fact that you had to come into business was because of a personal tragedy. What was going on in your mind at that time? Because the easiest option was to sell off the business, enjoy the money, continue with your HR job.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, I mean, that's a very, tough question because and I can't just answer it in one sentence. I was just going through a metamorphosis. I mean, you can imagine if a tragedy of this sort where I lost my husband and the founder of Milestone Capital, in the night he was there, in the morning he was no more. I mean, it was very sudden, very untimely. And I was just going through a metamorphosis. I didn't know what had landed, into my lap. But I knew one thing, that, a lot of people had reposed trust and faith in him. And I had to live up, to the expectations that people had of him. So while it would have been easy to sort of find a suitor, because Milestone was a very, very robust company,
Exactly.
one of the largest domestic.
You were managing $1 billion, and this is in 2007, post-Lehman, when you did not hear of funds that big and that size.
Yes. So this was one of the early domestic private equity funds. And there were many suitors when this happened. And, the easiest thing for me to have been to just sell off the business at a huge sum of money. But, and we did, I did speak to a lot of, corporate veterans and ask them for their piece of advice. And, finally they all said that it's your personal decision. And on one end you can run the business and, actively, and on the other side you can sort of, just sell the business. But you will have to decide for yourself. And, I started running the business, in fact, within a week of this tragedy. I had to attend urgently a board meeting where they inducted me as a director on the board of the company. And
weren't you nervous attending that first meeting, that, oh my God, there are all these financial experts. I'm from the field of HR. What am I going to do in the meeting?
I won't say nervous, because at that time you just had to take life on a daily basis and take it as it came. And
you were just going with the flow.
We were just going with the flow, too numb. And and I always feel that the life will flow and the time will move on, and you have to move on along with it. And luckily for me, I had a lot of very, very, good supportive family, good, children. So the board instilled that confidence and courage in me, that Rubi, you can do it. And there I was. I mean, it was difficult. It was the first few months were a roller coaster ride, where you had to learn, where you had to establish your authority. Because it was a very drastic change for all the people who were associated with the business. So overnight employees had a new boss, and the developer partners who were there obviously knew that the founder had passed away. So you had to deal with all of that. But at the end, I think I personally feel that you cannot give up. I mean, and I said to myself, Rubi, you cannot give up. You have to take it as it comes, and you have to put your best foot forward, for the stakeholders, for the investors, for the developers, for the channel partners, for your family, and above all for Ved himself.
Absolutely.
And I think that drove me. And within a few months, I was not from the financial field, but I was a corporate woman. So it wasn't very difficult. So it wasn't that difficult, and I had a good team. And along with the help of everyone else, I just decided to, in one of the meet greet sessions with the employees, I said, I'm going to run the business. And they were all shocked.
How did they take it?
They were a little taken off by surprise because they thought that I was, planning to sell. And then I said, no, let's just run the business. And I think they were all very, very happy. And I must tell you this because, investors came back and said, we are so glad that you decided to run it because we trust you. We trust you to consistently return monies because our monies were put in real estate funds and most of them were, yield funds where some amounts of monies kept going back to the investors. And despite this tragedy, they kept getting quarterly yields and so on. So the confidence level of the market in the Milestone brand, which was synonymous with high levels of corporate governance and, consistent investor returns was pretty much there. So I just said, I just ran it, and I think in hindsight it turned out to be the best decision I made in my life.
Oh, absolutely. We can see the smile on your face, rewarding at that.
I'm generally a happy person.
But I'm sure, there must have been their set of challenges while everyone did accept you with open arms. But I'm sure even personally as well as professionally, it must have been a struggle to make that transition at a time when you were so freshly out of a loss and a loss that big.
Yes, it was. There were definitely many challenges along the way, but you had to learn to deal with them because you had joint venture partners. You had to deal with the employees, ensuring that they are retained because all of them were seeing a career with the earlier boss. You had to show them a career with you, the longevity, the retention. The developer partners. You had to ensure that the projects were on track because if you have to keep the asset quality has to be great for you to be able to exit it at the right time. So there were challenges. But someone at that time told me, and I must tell you this, that Ruby, you are in a library full of books and you obviously can't read all of them at the same time, but you should know what to read when, and you have to keep reading. So yes, to answer you, I had to work very, very hard. Because there is no substitution to hard work. I mean, you have to work hard, you have to persevere, and above all, keep faith, and if you do that, be positive, I'm sure one can achieve what you set out to achieve.
Sure, that's on a professional level, but you also had 2 young kids at that time. So did it take a lot of family support while you were braving it out, managing the business, running the show, learning the ropes? Was there someone at home who said, you know what, I'm there to look after the kids, you go and make your life?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I had very, very supportive in-laws, so that made a lot of difference. Extended family, definitely, you have to lean in on them, chipped in, and, and see, in the end, it's all about relationships and ensuring that relationships work for you. I mean, there are most of the problems that we face in our professional or personal lives is because somewhere the relationships go sour. And I think to that extent, coming from an HR background and having managed so many people and
maneuver everyone.
I mean, people management skills came naturally to me. I don't want to, sound too confident,
Not at all,
but they came naturally to me. And above all, I think you have to be a good person because in the end, you have to be happy. I personally think happiness is the key to success and not the other way around. You have to be so happy that other people should feel happy looking at you. And, I told the same thing to my kids.
You're rubbing off on me already. I'm already smiling more. But no, tell me one thing. Were there times when, and especially 2007, where there weren't as many women in the financial world? Was it ever a vibe that you got that, ये क्या जानती है finance के बारे में या investment के बारे में? Did you have to sort of also cut through the man versus woman chase?
See, I didn't really have to do it because I could take the benefit of doubt of not knowing anything, right? I mean, I was not expected to don't know anything. So, there weren't any heavy expectations on me, and whatever I did was, received so warmly because people expected Rubi Arya to not know much, but then when they saw that she is good at the negotiating table, she is able to stitch deals, she is able to buy properties, she is able to sell them. We did one of the largest deals in Indian real estate at that time when we sold 1,000+ crore asset to Blackstone. That was an asset which we had bought like 4-5 years back, and then at the time when I wanted to sell, there were many suitors. So I didn't really have to to face that because people didn't expect me to know much, and when
so
I came,
under-promised and over-delivered.
Yeah, you can say
Yeah.
yes.
So then what? Then what was the journey? You had $1 billion of assets under management. You were on a roll. The investors were on your side. Why did you decide to sell it off?
Okay, so we had 7 funds, which were raised by my late husband, and it was important for me, as I told you, to sort of divest them and give superior returns to my investors,
Sure.
which we did. So if you look at the returns of the similar vintage funds, Milestone is definitely in the upper quartile. So having achieved that job, I said, okay, let me try my hand at raising funds. I did try, but the real estate market was reeling under a lot of pressure, and the market sentiments were not good. And I am somebody who takes life's choices, and I take them like really fast. When I had to run the company, I said, I'm not selling, I'm running.
Week.
And not in a week. I mean, while the due diligence was on, I just decided that I will not sell. But when I saw that the market is not good, and if I have to move out, I must move out now. And you cannot emotionally get attached to something that you have built. We had a team. We were pretty much well known for buying and selling pre-leased commercial office assets. And I said, if that is something which is of interest to some other financial services conglomerate, let me see if we can find a buyer. And that is when I approached Edelweiss, and they found a good fit in us. And for me, this was a legacy which I was parking. It was not a deal per se. It was a legacy of my husband that I was parking, and I wanted it to be in safe hands, and nobody better than an Edelweiss to sort of take it over.
And
So
I'm
I'm
sure
happy.
He's extremely proud of you, watching you.
I'm sure. I hope so too.
Yeah.
See, I think the story of Milestone, is if it has to be told in a few words or sentences, is actually a story of courage, innovation, creativity based on deep belief. I mean, the strength of the organization to sort of persist despite the tragedy and loss of its founder is what defined Milestone. And if that can be used, or remembered or used as an example to young entrepreneurs, I think, he will think that it's a life well lived, and whatever was his unfinished dream, if we have made it possible, I'm sure he is happy to.
Oh yeah, the legacy lives on.
The legacy
But
lives
tell me, what does Rubi Arya do now? Now that Stone is done with, how is it that you're passing time? Are you traveling more, reading more? The kids must be grown up by now.
Yes, sure. I have 2 kids, and they are, my daughter's 21, son is 16. Adorable kids. I'm sure all moms say that. So I read a lot of books. In fact, I'm reading one book on parenting, which is, 15 steps to bloody good parenting.
Now? A little late?
I think, there's another book which is called How to Talk to Your Teens So They Listen, and Listen to Your Teens So They Talk. So, I think the problems just go, they are different as they grow. So I do a lot of nature travel. I was on the Alaskan cruise recently.
Wow.
I do a lot of spiritual travel. I went to Kashi. So, I'm enjoying my life. And whatever I couldn't do, for the last 8-9 years, where I had to, do the job of, running Milestone, etc. I am just, taking my time out and doing all those things, learning piano and whatnot. Yes.
Okay, living it up. Any regrets though? When you look back, do you, not regrets maybe, but do you feel that, I could have done this different or that different?
I have a belief, I don't like to look back, because in life, whatever has to happen, I am a big believer in karma and so on. So whatever has to happen will happen at the right time. And you have to be positive. You cannot look back. I mean, you cannot look back and say, I could have done this better. You just have to move on every day. I know I'm sounding very philosophical, but that is how it has been, because life is so uncertain. And if it is so uncertain, you better live it jolly well good. Live it up and make the most of it. And if in the process, you are a happy person, and if you can make other people happy and and do good to the society and world at large, I think it's you have to live your life to the full potential. Any life which is not, you cannot settle down for something which is less. If you do not if your own potential you are not able to discover, then you have not done justice to your own life. So I will keep trying for new things. There are always possibilities, and you have to be at it all the time.
Well said. And you know, I think you embody the spirit of Milestone more than anyone else, of courage, faith, etc. But if you had to give one message to young women out there who are starting at this juncture, you know, we all know, you would know because you have a 21-year-old at home, as to how fiercely competitive this environment is in today's day and age. What would you like to tell them, the women out there who are wanting to make it on their own, much like you?
Sure. See, I would say 4 things. One is dream big. Dream big, work hard, give love, and laugh a lot. And I do that all the time. By the way, there's research which says that 2 minutes of laughing does you
Stress
as much
buster.
good as 20 minutes of walk. But anyways, just to answer your question more squarely, I think I would tell them that you have to be a leader who inspires people, to dream big, to learn more, to do more, and to become more. If you can be that leader, then sky is the limit. You can set up whatever business that you want to. And most of the things that we see manifested around us they start in the mind. So you have to think positive, you have to dream big. I think I would keep telling them the same thing, and be grateful for what you have, because it could be much worse. So if you have capabilities, potential, explore them, exploit them, make the most of them. I mean, you have to live life every day and live it fully. I think that is what I would tell them.
Okay. On that note, Rubi, one has to tell you, you truly inspire us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
Thanks
so
for
much.
having me.